In his first public appearance since his presidential pardon, reality show TV star Todd Chrisley acknowledged receiving preferential treatment during his incarceration at the federal prison camp in Pensacola, Florida. At a Nashville press conference on May the 30th, Chrisley stated that black inmates were often denied access to programs and opportunities that he was granted, attributing the disparity to systematic racial bias within the prison system. Listen to those words said by him. Chrisley, of course, was serving 2 years. It served 2 years for a 12-year sentence on bank fraud and tax evasion for being pardoned by former President Donald Trump, and emphasized the iniquities that he witnessed personally. He remarked in quotes, "Being in the prison system, anyone that says it's not a fair shake, it's not." He highlighted that young African-American males were not treated the same way, were denied programmings to access to certain resources, and they literally because they were young and African-American and not an older white guy like Todd Chrisley was. The former member of Chrisley Knows Best, that star expressed his commitment to advocating for prison reform, saying that he would continue to expose injustice within the prison system and the Bureau of Prisons itself. His daughter, Savannah, who played a significant role in lobbying for her parents' release itself, announced plans for the family to engage in advocacy efforts in Washington, D.C., and focusing on systematic issues in the U.S. incarceration system. Revelations have sparked discussions about racial disparities in the prison system and the influence of celebrity status on incarcerated experiences. Todd, being a celebrity, probably got things off a little easier because it was there, but he also acknowledged himself that a lot of things was, if he were just a white guy, he would have got off much easier than the black guys there. His candid acknowledgement of white privilege and commitment to reform efforts, at least stated now, mark a notable shift in the public discourse surrounding justice and equality within the U.S. penal system. This goes into the detail on Kim Kardashian now being a lawyer who probably won't be practicing much law, but will use that degree in her advocacy work that's been going on for quite some time. Todd Chrisley, if he continues along with these things, along with Savannah and I'm sure Julie as well, being members, being in the system, and Savannah being an advocate in the system, will be good voices for some sort of equality in the system. As crazy as it sounds for me to say these things, having someone like Todd Chrisley who says, I'm a white privileged guy and I saw white privilege in prison, so yes, it exists, counteracts anything out there that's being said by anybody else, including anyone in the Trump administration. Now, granted, the main reason why he's released is because he's famous. His daughter is famous, and his daughter came on and spoke to people and maybe helped him win an election. That's there. But the fact that he's coming out, not speaking crazy nonsense, not speaking, MAGA, 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 but the first thing he said was, there's not things going well in these prisons. There are people being mistreated just because they're black. That's a problem, and I'm going to do something about that. What he does about it, we'll have to see. Time will tell on how the Todd Chrisley redemption tour will play out. I actually have high hopes for the Chrisleys themselves. I have always been a fan of the show and the people and what is going on. I had no idea what Todd actually does, which is kind of the funny part about the show. But in all the actualities of what was going on, they were mostly harmless. What turned into the most harm, in a sense, was essentially what were they doing when Todd and Julie actually went to prison and trying to keep things together. The fact that Savannah seemed to not have a job, although she was out there advocating for stuff, was a bit odd in itself. But she was lobbying to get her parents out. Her parents are out. They will find some way to make some money off that, which is fine. But they also seem like they'll find a way to speak up to this point. Todd seems like a man with a new mission, let's say a parallel mission to what's going on. One, to get back into the limelight where he can be just funny Todd again. And two, be using some of that limelight, using some of that notoriety that he had before and now that he has now to do some good and make that notoriety more of a famosity, which is not a real word. We're going to see what Todd Chrisley's got all about. We're going to keep an eye on him definitely in this going forward. But if he says he's going to start doing things to start discussions for prison reform, especially on things that deal with the systematic issues, we'll just call it that, in the system, I'm ready to watch it. I'm all for it.